Hey everyone, Bri the Sky Guy reporting in once again, this time to talk to you about the moon. We'll be discussing lunar phases. Great time as well because we are in store this week for the beginning of a new lunar cycle. And we will be using a lunar phases journal provided by none other than NASA to help us record these changes we see in the moon over the course of time, which that time frame, as I like to call it, is a whole month, because the months, guess what? They're based off of the lunar cycle and this repeating pattern we see in the moon. So we're going to jump into Stellarium and take a look at what we'll be observing over the course of the next month. So the next month starts officially on April 22nd, which is Earth Day. So that's pretty cool. Enjoy your Earth Day this week. Hopefully you'll be able to get outdoors and enjoy a beautiful day. Now, with the new moon, there's unfortunately no moon to see at all. The new moon officially kicks off the lunar cycle. And the reason why you don't get to see a new moon, there's really just two reasons. One is that all we see is the night side of the moon. There's no reflected sunlight for our eyes to see. Therefore, we don't see anything at all. Two, also very importantly, also very dangerously, is the fact that if you try to look at the moon during the new moon phase, you are also looking directly towards the sun, which can burn your eyes out. So don't even try to look for that new moon. And in saying that, the reason why is because the moon is literally in between the sun and the earth during this phase. And of course, sometimes we get a very special, perfect alignment between the earth, moon, and sun, giving us a solar eclipse. I'm sure many of you remember the solar eclipse we experienced just a few years ago in 2017. Pretty awesome. We have another one coming up in 2024, which will be going right through the United States once again. So be ready for that. It's going to be awesome. Now, with that said, we are going to start our adventure of observing the moon and the lunar cycle on Friday, the 24th. And this will be the very first time you can see the moon after the new moon. And we're going to be filling out our worksheet here. Very simple, and I will discuss how to do that. First, I want to just glance over just how the moon moves through the sky. Because if we go out at the same time every night, here we're at 8 o'clock, we'll get this beautiful sunset with Venus, the twilight, all the pretty colors that come with that. Get out there, enjoy it. You'll also get to see, again, this natural pattern that the moon makes as it moves through the sky. So let's go ahead and check that out. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the powerful awesomeness of the planetarium software here to actually turn off the atmosphere. And this will allow us to see something really cool. One is that the moon actually moves through the stars over time. We get this very confusing thing with the Earth's rotation. Over the course of 24 hours, everything moves from east to west. But what we're going to see is over time, if you go out to the moon, see the moon consistently, you'll see that the moon is actually moving through the stars in the opposite direction from the west towards the east. And this is the motion of the moon orbiting the earth. Pretty awesome. So I'm just going to tick forward one day at a time, and we will watch as the moon moves through the stars from west to east. So this is not anything to do with the daily motion. The stars will, in fact, stay very closely in the same spot because, again, we're going out the same time every night. There'll be a slight little motion there because the Earth, it's also revolving around the sun, so that does change their position very slightly, but nothing you'd really notice unless you could just transport through time like we are in the planetarium. So one day at a time, again, just keep a close eye on that moon. So with each passing day, the moon jumps through those stars as it orbits the Earth. So we can do this straight up very easily, go at the same time every night for about 12, 13 days from that waxing crescent moon that kicks off our little worksheet here. After that, you're going to have a tough time because once you get to this, which is the full moon now, when the moon actually is on the opposite side of the sky from the sun, you won't be able to see the moon at 8 o'clock the next night, because from this point on, the moon rises later and later in the night. So what I would suggest you do is to go back, well, there's two things. You can just stay up late and later each time to make your observation, which might not be the best idea, but hey, if that works for you, that's cool. Or you can just wake up early. So if we go to 6 a.m., we'll just kind of jump through time here. Now we catch the moon setting as the sun is rising. And so for this half of the lunar cycle, you can see how the moon does the same thing. It moves from the west to the east as it orbits the Earth. So that's just the motion you'll see of the moon itself. The way this software is set up, you can't quite really resolve what the details of the moon look like. So we'll go back and check that out here now. So let me readjust to that last time. All right, so here we are back on the 24th at 8 p.m. And this time we'll zoom in on the moon. Make sure I'm locked on. And we'll go. Whoops. Okay, let me click on the moon and not the time. And we'll blast off to the moon. There we go. So this is what you'll be seeing with the moon on the 24th. You're going to see a whole bunch of the night side of the moon and just a little itty bitty sliver of the day side. So this is a waxing crescent moon. A waxing crescent is when the moon's getting bigger and brighter over time. So I'm going to do the same thing I did before. We're not going to see that motion of the moon moving through the sky over the course of the days. We're actually going to focus in on how the moon appearance change. And this is going to be pretty cool. So with each day, at this point, we'll see more and more of that day side, less and less of the night side. And this is what gives us that changing appearance. One thing I've noticed in my teaching of lunar cycles, a lot of people think that this changing in appearance is tied to the Earth's rotation, our daily motion. And you can see over the course of even just a few days, we still have a crescent moon here. So it takes many days for the moon to change its appearance. 24 hours just isn't long enough. So it's not the rotation of the Earth or anything about the Earth that really dictates how we view the moon. It's all about the moon orbiting the Earth. And as the moon orbits the Earth, we see different amounts of the day and the night side of the moon, giving us these different appearances. So with each passing day, you get out there again at 8 p.m., and you'll just kind of shade in what you see here. Shade in the dark side, leave the light side open, and you can fill that in, marking the date and the time there. So as we get to the full moon, we will have a pretty cool situation where during the full moon, you actually have the Earth in the middle. So the full moon is when the Earth is in the middle, and you can see the sun on one side of the sky, the moon on the other side. So as the sun sets, the full moon rises. They're on opposite sides of the sky because they're on opposite sides of our planet. After that, the full moon can't get bigger and brighter anymore. So this is when we would make our switch to 6 a.m. At this point, let me make sure I have the ground turned off so that that doesn't get in the way. I'll put that on so we don't get any more crazy spinning motion. But we will see that now the moon is getting smaller and dimmer. I have to say, of course, the moon doesn't actually change its size. This whole reference to smaller and dimmer, it's just a way to describe how much of the moon we're actually seeing. We're just seeing less of the illuminated parts of the moon and more of the dark parts of the moon. So it's all about day and night. Just like the Earth has day and night, the moon has day and night. And as the moon orbits the Earth, we see different amounts of that day and night for the moon. So at this point, as the moon is waning, we're seeing more and more of the dark side. The dark side's taking over, if you like Star Wars. But we wane all the way down from a full moon to a waning crescent moon. And then we get to the new moon, and everything repeats because it's a cycle. It goes on and on and on. Never stops, never slows, because again, this is the clock in the sky that gives us our moons or our months. So one lunar cycle going from new moon to new moon is about 30 days, technically 29 and a half days. Each month in our calendar, not surprisingly, is also about 30 days long as well, because again, our calendar is based off of this lunar cycle. In fact, pretty much everything we do to keep track of time comes from some motion in the sky. So with that, hopefully you guys can get out there and complete this. Perfect timing to get started on it. Even if you get a little late, that's fine. You can jump in wherever. There's plenty of squares here. Actually, there's not enough squares here. There's only 28 squares, and again, lunar cycle, 29 and a half days. But there is that new moon phase where you can't even see the moon at all. So they have a little grace with that. So get out there, keep looking up, enjoy the night sky, the moon, and be your very own astronomer this month as you plot the moon and learn about its motions through the sky. You all have a great day, a great Earth Day, and enjoy your week. Psych! Not done yet. Forgot one very important thing, and that is the link to the journal. How could I forget such a thing? So just check right up here for the link. You guys download that, print it out, get it done, and have a fun time observing the moon and being awesome. Y'all take care.